commencer. Séance ordinaire du Conseil municipal de la ville de Westmount pour mardi la 11 octobre 2022. Welcome to the regular council meeting of the city of Westmount for Tuesday, October 11th, 2022. We have some updates and some councillors across some different areas, but first, I think there's people in the room here who are curious that the leaf blower, the gas leaf blower restrictions for proceedings and the intent that they will do on tonight. And I think we've been pretty clear about the intentions for that if we are we will go in later on. And knowing that we align with the neighboring boroughs, we are completely satisfied and we'll energy coconut did that Marcel as well. So you'll hear more details from that later. We have two councillors that are not with us tonight. One of them wanted me to indicate to you with Councillor Broom, who is not with us tonight because she had tested positive for COVID. And she wanted me to tell you that because she was one reminder that it's certainly very present in our community right now. So we wish her a speedy recovery. And I think we will let her go through sort of her event afterwards. When we start with Councillor Ed, that we updated as an initiative for a public period of improvement.
Yeah, we will be approved on safety campaign with Catherine participating. Tomorrow, October 12th, we'll be using a Viva in the morning, and on Thursday, the 17th, and on the 14th, that will be very much fun and informative about safety in school.
Okay, thank you. I look forward to joining you at Linda. Yeah, Councillor Aaronson, over to you.
Thank you, Madam. Only one announcement this evening is to urge merchants in our neighborhoods to please come to the Engage Westmount website and give their commentary, their ideas with respect to the temporary furniture that we installed over the course of the summer on Victoria, or near Sugar Street, Victoria, on Reed Avenue, and the side of Johnson College. The results of this survey are going to lead around for how we use these things in the project in the future, and typically opened up a period for merchants commentary to get if you have not yet already done so, please do give us your document.
Thank you. Councillor Bostock, and we have
just a general reminder about garden waste collection, as the leaves all get raked and put them into brown paper bags and put them on the curb. So just remember that they keep a curbside by 7 a.m. in designated collection areas. So you can just check out the website and check out the map on where they're located. It is buy paper bags in the grocery store and the hardware store, and to make sure that if you decide to use a recyclable bin, to leave the lid off so it's easily identifiable, and also to make sure that it's not too heavy because we don't have machines taking things like human beings, and so to keep them at anything less than 20 kilos. We can maintain small branches to be tied in bundles. And should use natural twine with no plastic.
perfect. Thank you. Councillor Pierce.
Thank you. I'll start with a few updates on the infrastructure projects that are currently underway in the territory. The biggest one that we have underway is of course, the project at Lexington and Devon. The back of Cushman, the phase one of the project is done. And the project is scheduled to be done on the 7th of November. So it is on place. The next one on the board is construction of the sidewalks and a little bit of underground hydro Westmount infrastructure on the city path. That's on track and scheduled to be completed on the week of the 24th of October. Some of you may have noticed that there's a little bit of work going on down the hill on Glen at Hydro Westmount, just where the entrance is being redone and some fences and the walls being finished. That's on track to be done within December. And the last provision, which is an ongoing decision that we involved in real time around this is the replacement of the windows at City Hall. We are in stage 4 of 6 phases, and that will go on right through until June of 2023. That's the infrastructure. On the urban plans side, I would like to bring to your attention a couple of key dates that are coming up. Monday, October 24th at 7 p.m. The city will be holding a public consultation for the PPC mod, or sorry, the scoping, we call it scoping, specific construction alteration or occupancy proposal for removable. That's the project for 4216 Dorchester, that's just west of Green in that empty lot. A few years ago, we had seen a preliminary proposal for a new multifamily building, so that has gone through the process. Now it's coming to the community for their review, but for the presentation and the comments. Like I said, that's on Monday, October 24th, and that will be live streamed on the city's website as well. The second, as was published today as a public notice, was that we have council has recently proposed a bylaw 1588 that was entitled the bylaw further than zoning bylaw 1303 for the offices in zone R9-09-03. If I can just translate that there in English, what this means is that there's one building for Mount Pleasant at the corner of Mount Pleasant and Sherwood, which is currently zoned to be exclusive residential. There's an application to have that zoning amended to include to permit offices. The city published a first draft of that bylaw. The community had an option to voice their opposition or their interest in that bylaw and file an application to open a registry. A sufficient number of signatures were received on that application, which then triggers it to the next step now, which is a register. And that register will be open to registration on Tuesday, October 18th, 2022. And I go around all day long, from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. And any resident which is in a applicable or concerned sector will be able to come to City Hall and register their opposition to this project. There's a threshold number of 54. If that threshold number is reached, then that will then authorize the council to decide on the next step. So if you are in that area and you want to find out if you are in that concerned sector, I recommend that you look at the public notice. There is a map on the public notice. You can see that your property is within that concerned sector, and if you are, then you can go on to the next session.
And any questions can be sent to legal@western.org.
That concludes my report.
Perfect. And as we wrap up a lot of the infrastructure projects, we're certainly, we're also wrapping up the planning for next year's infrastructure projects and for the following year. So we will, make the community that what's going to be done over the next 3 years with Kenny.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I wanted to reach out to my District 3 with a bit of information regarding the reconstruction of Mount Pleasant. We had promised in our last public information session to come back in early October. I would like to inform the residents of the Mount Pleasant area that we will come back with a public information meeting in the first week of November. Then more information will be available, and I just wanted to share it tonight.
Thank you, Councilor Nico.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just wanted to remind everybody that the zone 1 of the Lexington project has been pitched, so it has been paid and it has been open. C'est avec une certaine tristesse que j'ai su aujourd'hui la possibilité de la fermeture possible de l'école village Saint-Pacifique. Donc, le Conseil est au courant et on suit cette situation de la
Thank you, Councilor Nico. Yeah, we were all shocked to learn of that news last Thursday. I think when parents started notifying us about that, and that's a significant impact on our city and in particular on the kids that are attending our school. I would just like to, Councilor Ruland asked me to share some of what she would normally announce. So we have the upcoming library book fair, the youth book fair is happening in November. But we can't accept any more books because we have 3 years of having a book that everybody's getting home, staying at their home. We basically do not have any street to take any more information. So once we are able to hear us, we'll be able to attend again. We are opening the client capsule this Friday. So that is a public event that's happening at 2 p.m. at Victoria Hall on Friday. And what else are they doing over there? They are doing retro style arcade games, October 11th, November 15th, and October 11th to November 15th, 4 o'clock to 5:15 on Zoom. There's all that information is also on the library website. On Wednesday, that's tonight, so we don't need to announce, or that's tomorrow night, Victoria Hall. She's much better at reading these events than I am. Is Charlie Chaplin. The Charlie Chaplin movie is happening tomorrow as well. And discussion will follow the screening. There's a writing workshop with Andrew Katz, our children's author that we often have featured at the library, and he comes in and does writing workshops. And as well, an event with Mark Levy on October 13th at 7 p.m. And that is in the Westmount room at the library. He is a renowned author, and he's joining by Zoom, so he's not in person. And the Poe Morgue, a multi-dimensional experience of vintage films unearthed from the Film Society archives, live atmospheric theater and music. Words After Dark with Anne-Marie McDonald, which is this Sunday at 2 p.m., which is another example of our library bringing in significant authors. That's terrible feedback on that one. Not only do you have to hear me once, you have to hear me twice. And then another event that they're doing next week, which is very important, is Tuesday the 18th, is a lecture on understanding dyslexia, which will also take place at the library. So those are some of the events coming up. I encourage you to look at the library and community events websites. A couple of things that I'd also like to congratulate Jennifer Macron, who won quite easily last week, her election, but she certainly has a big fight ahead of her. And we've always really appreciated working with her, and she has really has represented our community very well. So congratulations to her. We look forward to continuing to work with you. And as well, last week, we had the opportunity for the first time since COVID to honor some of our long service employees in the city. And that's not necessarily something that happens as often as it used to in terms of longevity, but we were able to welcome several members into the Quarter Century Club. So I just want to thank them again for their many years of service and dedication. So now I believe, we'll get to that. Now I believe unless you want to address that, now I believe we will start with questions from those in the room. And then we will go to online questions, which I believe we only had one submitted. S'il y a des questions, on va commencer avec la première période de questions. With anyone in the room, you're all here.
Bonsoir.
Bonsoir.
Alain Forgel, Ruyanois. Probablement que vous savez pourquoi je suis ici. D'abord, je suis ici pour vous dire que j'ai de la sympathie pour vous parce que je vois à quel point c'est rendu compliqué, cette histoire-là des souffleuses à feuilles. J'ai lu ce qu'il y avait dans le Independent. Apparemment, c'est la fin du monde, souffler des feuilles à Westmount. Apparemment qu'il y a plus de feuilles à Westmount qu'à Outremont. Apparemment qu'il y a plus de feuilles à Westmount que partout ailleurs en ville.
Est-ce que vous avez lu le texte que j'ai mis sur notre site web? OK.
Oui. Et puis, en fait, je suis juste ici pour dire que j'ai de la sympathie pour vous parce que je pense que ça a été prouvé à maintes reprises que les gens de Westmount ont de la misère avec le changement. Des fois, vous l'avez vécu avec la Maison Good, vous l'avez vécu avec d'autres. Mais à un moment donné, on est-tu en 2022 ou on est-tu en 1972? Puis avant que les souffleuses à feuilles existaient, les entrepreneurs trouvaient une façon de faire de la job. Puis pourquoi tout à coup que les souffleuses à feuilles existent, il n'y a plus d'autre façon de faire de la job, puis c'est la fin du monde. Moi, je ne comprends pas ça. I'll get to my question. La question, ce que j'ai lu, c'est que, Madame la mairesse, vous avez dit « The city needs more time to get their ducks in a row ». Quels sont ces canards, puis pourquoi c'est si long et si compliqué de les aligner?
Oh, comme le délai de 2 semaines, parce qu'on est supposé de mettre ça l'agenda de...
Peut-être que je suis mal informé. Moi, j'ai lu un délai d'1 an. Là.
Non, c'est sur l'agenda ce soir.
OK.
Mais on a pensé que c'était quoi, la fin septembre, non, le mi-septembre? Qu'on a mis le mi-septembre, mais on n'a pas finalisé les dates et tout ça, puis on a fait quelque chose. Donc, c'est ce soir.
Okay. Non, mais
ça, c'est pourquoi
corrigez-moi si je me trompe, mais moi, je pensais que la loi devait... Le règlement devait entrer en vigueur en 2022.
Vous voulez que c'est tout de suite comme les autres?
Ben moi, c'était mon impression. Peut-être je me trompe, vous me corrigerez, mais la dernière réunion à laquelle je suis venu, j'avais l'impression que la loi entrerait en vigueur à l'automne 2022. Et là, ce que je lis, c'est que ça va entrer en vigueur à l'automne 2023.
Oui.
C'est ça le sens de ma question.
Oh, oui, on avait tout le temps l'idée de donner un peu de temps. Et pour nous autres aussi, on va acheter, on a déjà en stock, mais on va acheter d'autres. Mais ça donne un peu de temps à ces messieurs ici, je pense qu'ils sont ici pour ça. Ça donne un peu de temps pour les autres, mais comme vous, je pense qu'on est prêt. C'est 2022. Et tout le monde l'a fait. C'est comme si on peut faire ça outrement en mai 2023. On peut faire, mais c'est comme un peu d'un peace offering, puis on le fait. But we encourage you to do it now. And this has been 5 years. We gave notification il y a 5 ans maintenant.
Exactement. Donc, si je comprends bien, vous allez voter la loi maintenant, mais l'entrée en vigueur va être en 2023. Est-ce que j'ai bien compris?
Oui. Okay. Donc, je sais que c'est pas assez vite pour vous. Pour M. Aronson, c'est pas assez vite. Mais c'est comme un peu d'un compromis.
C'est peut-être pas assez vite pour la planète non plus, mais c'est
oui. Honnêtement, je suis totalement d'accord avec vous.
OK, merci.
Merci beaucoup. Hello.
Hello. John Breslow, 447 Grosvenor Avenue. Given the recent decision by this council to approve the plans for the demolition and alteration requested by the owners of the Good House for the stated reasons that, quote, it is a private house and a family wishes to live there. And given that this decision overruled the recommendations of PAC, as well as contravening 2 city bylaws and regulations relating to a Category 1-star house, what is to prevent any other owner of a categorized house from requiring council to similarly overrule PAC, since a precedent has been established and the law cannot be applied arbitrarily?
I think Councillor Peart would like to answer this as well, but the law, council votes, PAC recommends, and council votes, and taking into everything into consideration and the entirety of the file. We voted unanimously. I would point out as well that we voted on that, and as each file that comes forward from PAC is a recommendation, and council votes on that. Do you want to add anything to this?
Well, that summarizes it perfectly and succinctly as well.
I can't hear you. Start again.
Sorry. I believe that answers it directly. It is a council decision. PAC does make the recommendation, and I would add one qualifier to the PAC unfavorable recommendation. It was limited to one item that was the interior staircase, and that was the only item of objection that the PAC had. Otherwise, it was otherwise there was I won't say unanimous, but there was a majority acceptance of the project except for the internal stair.
I don't think that's what my reading of PAC was, but I will take your comment on advice. Mm-hmm. However, to respond to your response, Madam Mayor, given the importance of the House and the egregiousness of a number of recommendations that this council overruled, I do suspect that we will face a number of owners who are going to say, look, it happened there. If you don't go and accept my request, then I have grounds for a lawsuit.
No, there wouldn't be grounds for lawsuit, but Councillor
So
Peart
to
will
that-
answer that as well.
To that point, then that is a preoccupation that I share as well. It's one that I've voiced over the few occasions, and I will
Very few.
underline that they are very few occasions where there is a misalignment between council and PAC. And in those instances, and which is different from how we proceeded in the past, is the reasons for a decision that is different from that of the PAC is explicitly detailed in the resolution, such that it is highly unlikely that those reasons can replicate themselves at another site with exactly the same conditions. So I invite you to look at those decisions where the council has gone another way, and I hope that you will see and come to understand and appreciate is that they have been very well documented as to why those decisions were taken. And so it's in anticipation and in concern of potential reuse or pointing at, this is what happened over there. I want that thing over here. It'll be very challenging for a future resident to use that strategy, because our reasons for objection are very, very detailed and very, very particular to each project.
Yeah, and it was obviously this house is very different in that it had it was citing the interiors as well as the exteriors. And I think you made a comment that because it's a private home, I'm not sure what exactly.
It was actually quoted from you, but it was your comment.
And it is a private home,
Yes.
which is fact. So
No problem with that. Lots of owners have private homes.
yeah, lots of owners have private homes. Yes. So I think I still stand by the decision in that I think the application that was made, and it was voted upon unanimously, has got owners in there that are incredibly dedicated to restoring this house and making it livable. And what the province, the Ministry of Culture, as you know, it had been requested by citizens to have it cited by the province to overrule our citing. That has been, the province is not agreed to do that. And we will make that letter. We should make that letter public, which we can put on the website. We'll table it at the next. We just got it, I guess, on the 3rd. But they applauded the city for working on this file. We're the only city that's done this, and it is difficult. It was a very difficult and long process for. Obviously, the community, you are very opposed to the decision that was made. It was a lot of work for the administration and for the owners. But in the end, I think I believe we're going to have a house that is restored.
So while you're making that public, would you like to make also public the two studies that Westmount taxpayers paid for, the historical components of that?
I think they're already online.
Mm-hmm.
If you send me an email for specifically what you want, we will see what we can share with you.
Fine. Lastly, a comment.
I think we're on our fourth question here.
Totally different. Just a comment. Stands the church clock at 10 to 3? Is there honey still for tea? Our clock is at 3 minutes to 7. So will that...
Which clock? You have to be more specific of our many clocks that are not working.
The town clock is at 5 to 7. Will it stay that way till June 2023?
They on this one, will it stay this way till? I'd like to tell you that it will be fixed, but
I thought it might hang.
So, are you using June 23rd because I said it would be because the windows?
Absolutely.
Okay, no.
Oh,
that's
okay.
The windows are a different project. The clock is not included.
The clock I don't think is included in
the window
that
project.
massive.
Maybe I'll
expensive
leave
project.
the clock in your good hands.
Okay, noted. The clock. Thank you. Next question.
Good evening, Mayor. Good evening, councils. I'm Morris from Cauchy Landscaping.
Hello.
In 2018, you're right. You told us about it's coming, the electric.
2017.
No, I remember that. I remember 218 pretty
Okay.
well. Okay, 218. But did you remember COVID struck? What happened when COVID? Could you get a car in 219 or 220 as fast as you could have got it back in 217? No. That's strike number one.
Okay.
Next question, okay? Manpower. You're asking us to switch to electric. You get me men and I'll switch to electric. No problem. I can't get men for myself. And you want me to go back now where it takes me 3 times longer to clean leaves with one man? You expect the city to be clean? City's never going to be clean. We clean your streets. You know, we clean the street. The trees are planted 7 feet in the lawn where it's city property, not owner's property. We're picking that up. We're cleaning from the street in. We're doing your work. You know, you say toxics in the air. Toxic in the air. Did you ever see one of your sweepers go by? That's toxic in the air, not our blowers. I found out another good little thing the other day. I went to see Lawrence Stroll's house that got sold. And we're talking to the janitor there. And we're telling him, listen.
Sorry, you went to see, I didn't catch that. You went to see.
Lawrence Stroll's home that just got sold.
Lawrence Stroll's house.
Okay. So we're talking to the janitor. We're saying, listen, we can't pick up all these leaves. Well, no way in heaven we're going to pick up all these leaves. You know what he tells us? You have to. They got all black birds on them. If these black birds get back into the ground, your trees are going to die. So now he's telling us, okay, we got to clean these leaves. I go, what do you want me to do next year when this goes into electric? You really think I could do that? Now, strike number 3. I went to see 3 suppliers, not 1, 3. Gamma. I went to see Marina. I went to see Jean up on the top. I asked him about those blowers. Yeah, we have the blowers, but we don't have batteries. Now, batteries. A blower lasts 8 hours on minimal charge. That's a 10% use. I could sweep faster and that could blow. Are you kidding me?
Councillor Aronson will say that that's how he'd prefer you to pick them up. Okay, keep going.
Yeah, that'd be perfect. But if you live on Lexington, when the forest is across the street, and the second day after I blow, they're all back on your property, you're gonna love it. And now, I'm gonna go with me because I figure I'm one of the biggest up there. I use 10 blowers. 10 blowers. Now, if I buy 4 batteries for every blower, that's 40 batteries. 40 batteries at $3,000 a battery. That's a hell of an investment for 1 month, eh? What do you think? So now you really think I'm not going to reply this to all my customers? I'm not going to tell them. I already told them. I already sent the letter
So
up.
I know you sent the letter. I also appreciate that this time you
I didn't put your number this time. You see, I was nice.
Well, I don't have a home phone number anymore because of that. So you couldn't
Okay.
put my home phone number like you did last time. And in future, if you want to contact me with the city, you do it at the office at City Hall and not at my house. You've raised a lot of points. I'm going to raise a few points back with you. Is that we are completely surrounded. So M-sur-la-Montagne, massive property, huge property.
Yeah, we do it.
Electric.
No, it isn't.
It is, then you're doing it against the bylaw. The
No,
bylaw has
no,
been
no.
passed and it is electric in Ville Marie.
In Ville Marie, you're right. It is electric. But Ville Marie, I have a couple townhouses.
So you've just, I'm not going to call the mayor of Ville Marie, which is Valerie Plante, to let her know that you are not adhering to her bylaws.
No, we shred the living daylights out of those leaves. And it's totally different than
and you shred the living daylights out of the entire ecosystem and all the pollinators that are living within the grass
but
as
it's
well.
totally different than Westmount. There we use tractors. I could put bagging systems on tractors.
And
where I
in
can't
Outremont,
Westmount.
which is passed this bylaw as well.
Outremont, they passed it overnight when no one was ready for it. Sure.
So get ready because it's May 2023 that they're putting it in place.
You get me.
So
the
your
blowers, you get me
clientele has
blowers,
been
and we'll
significant.
buy them off of you. How's that? No problem. We'll go electric. You
Okay.
get me all the blowers and we'll buy them off of you because I went to 3 suppliers and they all tell me the same thing. There's no way in heaven you're going to get those things. And now let me tell you another thing, to charge these blowers, to get these batteries, because I need a shitload of them, right? A 4 per
Okay,
battery.
so you can't speak like that in the council
Okay,
chamber.
sorry, excuse me. But let's say to charge 40 batteries, I'm going to have to get the biggest generator, diesel generator.
You know, I know you like to scare people with these
there's no scare.
tactics.
There's no scare.
If you can also, I encourage you to also look at the National Capital Commission where you can clear Parliament Hill and all the parks of the National Capital Commission with electric blowers. The time has come. I know change is hard, but the time has come.
It should, I agree on electric. Don't get me wrong. I own a Tesla. I like it, but I don't like it in the winter. I don't like it in the winter. Why? I go up north. I'm scared to not make it home.
So I applaud you for adapting to your technology in your cars and buying a Tesla.
Yeah.
And I applaud you for that. But I think what you're going to see, it may not be unanimous, but I think you're going to see support for this bylaw. I really do. We want to, you know, I'm happy to work with you. I don't think you should threaten our residents
I'm
with
not threatening your
4
residents.
times increases and things like that.
Think of it, it's costing me 100,000 for a month.
I question those figures
Okay,
because
but if I buy them off you, you'll see the numbers, right?
I'm not.
You could
Anyways.
buy us. Look,
Councillor Aronson, do you want to respond to this? You've asked, you've made your point. You have made your point. Councillor Aronson, do you want to add anything to this? And then I think Councillor
do.
D'Amico wants to say something.
Sir, I understand that this is difficult. You got a business to run, you got a family to take care of, and you've done things one way for a really long time. And I respect that when you're encountering a problem that affects your business and your customers, that you've had the decency to come down here and speak to us directly to make sure that you're heard. I appreciate that the decision that we make tonight might have a major impact on your ability to get your job done. And for that, I am sorry. But what it comes down to here is that when it comes to the dirty diesel fuel that these leaf blowers are blowing, the good of the many simply outweighs the interests of the few. You're the few.
okay, but we
And
It's not-
the diesel oil, even as regular gas, the 2-stroke engines that are being used in these leaf blowers are simply too polluting for us to allow them to continue to be used. We have to take every step we can take to combat climate change. And that's going to mean all of us have to adjust in some way, shape, or form. Today, it's going to be leaf blowers. Tomorrow, it's going to be something else.
Well, it's gonna be what? Lawnmowers,
Possible. Yeah, I would say so.
snow blowers.
Snow blowers,
My
snow
trucks,
blowers,
my
trucks, everything
Well, I
needs to be
mean, we all
electrified
know that you're-
in the long term.
Let's be realistic.
Well, I mean, the entire automobile industry is shifting to
Service you
electric.
guys. And then you don't expect us to return it to our clients. My clients, I already spoke to 90% of them,
Mhm.
and they're all in according with me. They know they're gonna recover me my losses. So that is gonna go through.
We can afford it.
Yep. So at the end of the day,
Okay, I think you, sir, I think you've
Sir.
made your point. And I think Councillor D'Amico wants to respond. And then
So-
we will move on.
This is not an easy issue. This is a very complex issue, the issue of leaf blowers. But I also have questions. But I want to say that I independently verified the claim. So I independently contacted the supplier and I tried to buy the leaf blower, the one that's being recommended here, the one, the comparable leaf blower to the gas-powered leaf blower. They told me that they have none in stock. 2 are possibly on the way. And when I said I would like to buy the battery that lasts for 8 hours, they said it's completely on back order. When I called another supplier, they said, don't even buy that one because in the month of March, we're going to have something else. So yes, there is a global supply chain problem with the batteries. If you try to buy a new car, you can't buy a new car. If you want to buy appliances, you can't buy appliances. There is a global, so it's a normal part of the business cycle that. So we're
So
not
unlike
against.
other cities, we're not doing it immediately. That's why we are giving the year for the question. that
The
was
only, I
asked
think,
before.
the only issue here is when do we adopt this? They are not against adopting.
They
the
are against
battery.
adopting.
No, they're not.
That's
They're
false.
not, they're against adopting it if they don't have a comparable thing to use.
That-
And yes, it will affect, it's normal that a business has to pass on its costs to its clients,
Mhm.
but it's not necessary. My other point is, what exactly, we have no numbers on this.
I have the numbers.
So.
I
okay,
have
so-
numbers for you.
So people are
It's-
under
sorry,
the,
this is-
so this is a product that's highly restricted. You cannot use leaf blowers whenever you want. We're talking about a period that goes from April 1st to May 1st and from October 1st to December 1st. But I would like to know, of this time period, how much time is spent with the leaf blower removing leaves? Because I've been looking at this issue for the last 3 years. And in my property, I would say maybe 3 guys come, maybe it lasts 20 minutes. We're talking about 20 minutes. How many days are we talking about in the month that the leaves fall down and they're removed? We're not talking about the entire month here.
No.
So we have no numbers here to base our opinion on as to whether this
Sorry.
is reasonable or not. No
Councillor
numbers.
So Councillor D'Amico, I respectfully disagree with you. The numbers that we're basing this on is the polluting that these machines do. And this is science that has been
But
proven
it's not
time and time
material.
again.
Mhm.
It's not material, Mayor. It's not
It-
material.
it-
If it's only being used 3 days in the year, it's not material.
It's not being, let me tell you, the biggest complaint that I get from citizens
Right.
is about leaf blowers, is about dumping snow on sidewalks after the city has cleared them, and then contractors dump snow on sidewalks, and then mobility issues, and they can't get by. These are my 2 major complaints that I get. Councillor D'Amico doesn't get these complaints because they typically come into the mayor's office. I too understand that this is difficult. This has happened all around us. And so
So if
we are doing this with giving you a year. And to be honest, we gave notice at the beginning of the last mandate that this was the intention. And, you know, we've shifted a lot of our equipment. We are going to lead by example. We are also going to clean our parks with electric blowers where we need to. But again, we cannot continue to, you can't kill all the pollinators and expect things to grow.
Mhm.
And so, I get that this will have an impact. We will vote on it. And I think both Councillor Roux and Gallery, if they were here, would be supporting this as well.
I think I can bring a different standpoint to the
You need
argument.
to give your,
So my name is Marcello Maniti. I am owner of Marina Equipment. I am an equipment supplier for the majority of landscapers in Westmount. Number one, years ago, Westmount made a decision to go totally electric. I was one of the lucky ones that was able to submit a quote for Westmount. I lost the quote. Another supplier won the quote. The project went well for a few months. All the equipment was put on a shelf because the performance was not there. This is number one. Number two, we're going to talk about, yes, you've given leeway to, to adapt. These group of guys came to my store. We met together. They wanted to work together so that we can transition towards the electrification process. Their intentions were excellent. They came there.
I'm glad to hear it.
They shared bright ideas. They want to work. Right now, what has happened after COVID, you all know the whole world has a microchip problem. There's a microchip in the battery of a leaf blower. And right now, municipalities are having trouble getting electric vehicles because there's a shortage of microchips around the world. This is what we're facing. We understand your 5 years that was given, but then COVID happened. 2 manufacturers of microchip shut down. There's 1 manufacturer of the microchip worldwide supplying the automobile industry and the power equipment industry. I have probably about 60 to 70 blowers in stock at my store with no batteries. We cannot, I've been waiting for batteries for a year and a half. Now you're asking these landscapers to, you're banning 2-cycle. Understood, they pollute. There's noise. Noise, you're going to get it with the electric version also. There's electric blowers at your big box store that produce 101 decibel, where the blowers that these professional landscapers are using run at about 65 to 70 decibels of noise. The noise, you're going to get it, whether it's electric, it's that high pitch noise that is created by the fan. What I'm asking is that right now, if you ban the 2-stroke engines, landscapers on social media right across North America have been dealing with these bans. Like you said in your report, over 100 cities across North America have been banning them. But what is going on? The landscapers are now finding a loophole. And they're buying generators to charge the batteries. I have other landscapers. I saw one guy in Laval today who made a contraption that was not one engine, 2 engines now to bypass. He used 2 4-stroke engines, so he's completely legal. But he just bypassed your bylaw. I think that if we work together and transition the right way in our goal to reduce the environmental footprint together, I think we will all be winners. Having landscapers buy generators to charge their batteries, when this market becomes stable, what will happen? They will have gained a bad habit, and they will continue to use that bad habit even when the market is stable. I think if you prolong the ban, I mean, it's inevitable.
Thank you for your commentary and for your suggestions. I'm happy to work with you, but I do believe that the year-long, like other communities have done this much quicker, and we're giving you a year. I'm welcome to any suggestions. You're in the industry. I'm very easy to find. You can write to me with any of these suggestions. For now, I'm very comfortable with the year-long, and it's as I've said. And so you're talking about social media. I mean, if you look at the articles from this weekend in La Presse, I mean, read the commentary on there.
Mhm.
It's all finalement. That's the entire commentary on there. So I get your perspective, but we're giving a year.
Yeah, so basically, Westmount is separate from the one island, one city, Montreal. And I think that you have just a class of citizens above the rest following the big city, and
We have a group of citizens that have a responsibility to lead on a lot of these issues.
Pardon?
We have citizens that should have a moral responsibility to lead on these.
Well, yes, of course you do. And the landscaper that shows up at your house on Saturday morning or on Sunday morning at 8 o'clock, that is the guy that makes everybody look like an idiot. We, as a group, want to work with you so that we can transition the right way towards the electrification.
So
Buying generators and now having lithium batteries and a gas powered generator is actually going to increase the environmental footprint for Westmount. I'm sorry, that is my comment. Accept it how you like it.
Thank you for your feedback, and we're going to table this motion tonight. We're going to vote on it. I'm happy to hear any further commentary from you. This industry has evolved, obviously. When we began this discussion, there were very few machines on the market. There's way more now, and
no, there's none. The industry is not ready for battery blowers. We are definitely not ready right now.
Well, if you look at a still website, you certainly see a lot of options.
I'm a still dealer, ma'am.
So
Ask me any question.
So is the still website make believe? Because I'm
the BGA 300 is the latest technology from Still. It is half the power, and there's no batteries available to power that blower.
So as I said, we're tabling this tonight. Do you want to add any commentary on this?
Just a question.
Sure, I'm here for that. I want to work with you.
The batteries. Are you saying they're not going to be available in 12 months? Can you stand here today and say they're not going to be available in 12 months?
Yes, I've been waiting a year and a half. I just did my spring booking. It's not a good thing right now. The microchip industry, the power equipment industry for the microchips is peanuts. They would rather supply the automobile industry first and foremost because a lot more money there. So we're just on the sideline. They're just pushing us aside, and they're going to supply. They would rather supply the microchip to supply your battery operated car rather than a battery operated blower. So Mobility Montreal, which is supposed to be the, the green, and they're going to try to, different ways to transport, has purchased gasoline vehicles. Why? You're supposed to be the person promoting the environment with battery operated vehicles, but you're purchasing gasoline. They can't get the chip. That's why.
So you might
Your
not,
research.
you might not stick around later on, but if you did, you would see that we are passing a resolution for an electric sweeper.
That's fantastic. Now, if you can get it. Thank you.
Thank you for your feedback. We're open to hearing from you. This is being passed tonight with a year's grace period, essentially a year's notification, which is different than other cities. And I know that's a disappointment to some, but this is the sort of peace offering we've got at this point. And we will obviously follow this very closely. We have big parks that we clean as well. And this is coming. This is coming everywhere. It's definitely coming. So let's get on board. Well, now you could have said that all throughout history on all sorts of things that were banned, that the coal industry, maybe we weren't quite ready to get rid of coal, but eventually you have to do it, right? So next question. Leaf blowers.
Judy Shapiro Knight, and I'm sorry I was late. I went to Victoria Hall.
Oh, that's
It's the
okay.
end of several Jewish holidays, and we weren't sort of out of the loop. But just as I'm a consumer, obviously, I'm not a blower, or I'm technically ignorant, but I'm interested in what you said, Councillor. I think it is very important, actually, that we're talking about a very short period in the spring and a very short period in the fall. And when I observe this, I think that perhaps in those two short periods, the city and the independent contractors could share the jobs. I don't know whether other municipalities have the same configuration, but the first halves of all of our city properties belong to the city. The trees belong to the city, and thank you very much, because you put new trees there whenever there's a loss of a tree. You put beautiful new ones in there, miraculous, they never die. They're beautiful. However, let's be frank that the leaves that do fall from those trees fall on the half of the 3/4 of the front properties. They are the city's trees and they're the city's leaves. These people remove them, put them in bags, and we pay for that. Maybe there could be a sharing, and I say a sharing not only because finances are a big issue with the new conversion from the gas to the electric, but also it's manpower. The finances would be shared by the city and the independent contractors. And also perhaps in those two short periods, the city could be extremely creative and advertise for student workers. I wasn't thinking actually when I came here that the debate was gas or electrical. I didn't realize what a consensus there was for electric. I thought maybe no gas blowers and rakers, people with rakes. Because
that would be ideal, but
well,
we know that Westmounters aren't going to do that.
I don't know that actually. I talked to a friend who's been my friend. She lived on Roslyn I've lived on Victoria for 49 years. She's lived on Roslyn. I said, do you have a garden? She said, no, I do it myself. And many people do rake leaves. And also it doesn't have to be once a week. I mean, you mentioned perhaps, I think Mr. Couchy mentioned 20 minutes or 3 days a week or 3 times a month for 20 minutes altogether. That's a very, very fast, noisy, gassy, awful operation. Doesn't have to be that frequently. Could be maybe once every 2 weeks. Forgive me if that's a bad idea. I know that the black spots on maple leaves fall and they have done damage in years past. They don't come every year. I know the thing should be done, but maybe it could be done a little less often with student help. Exams are over in that period you mentioned, and the fall is so nice. It's so short. It was, I read and reread the article. Maybe the city and the independent contractor.
Did you read my article? Did you read my piece or just the piece from the landscapers?
No, I mean, I read about the time period. I was very busy.
Okay.
I didn't really, I'm not into the debate. And of course, I'm the first one to say that the noise and the smells and the gas and the blowing and then they blow all over. It's an awful operation. But
yeah,
since people are talking about electrical and one gentleman said the noise would be the same anyway. Just thought that perhaps we could be a little bit more creative, especially if the product is not available. As you say, Mr. Parrott, you asked if it's not, maybe it won't be available. I don't know. But perhaps Westmount could do a very, very ecological, creative, thinking out of the box. If it has to be banned, if the gas ones have to be banned, and in the meantime, we can't get the product that the city wants them to get, and the cost will be prohibitive also if they do the electrical operation as frequently as they're doing the gas ones now. Maybe they don't have to. That's all I'm saying. It's a short period. There could be student help, young kids. It doesn't take any skills to do those rakings. And maybe the whole thing could be done once every 2 weeks or once every 10 days instead of once a week. I don't know.
So thank you for your creative suggestion.
Probably very naive and housewifey, although I hate to label myself in that way, but.
Yeah, I think Councillor Peart wants to say something here, and that it is just quickly. This is an environmental decision. This is a sustainability issue that we need to address.
Thank you for the suggestions and the commentary. It's very much appreciated.
Sustainability I had in mind with fewer hours spent in those short periods in the operation of removing leaves, and perhaps with manpower for short periods of time, which will reduce, of course, these harm to our environment. So I think it should be thought about.
So thank you. There's just a couple of points that I wanted to address, and that was about the frequency at which they're used. On almost a weekly basis throughout the year, we get complaints from residents for leaf blowers and the noise and the disturbance that they cause. Even beyond the period that they are allowed, it's continuous throughout the entire summer where they're not being where they are prohibited. They're being used. And I see them with my own eyes. Sometimes they're being used for leaf blowers, sometimes they're just being used because it's a more convenient broom. They're used consistently throughout the year. And a secondary point, which I think is also important because the city here is the biggest landowner in the city. We're taking this on for ourselves. We wouldn't ask anybody to do anything that we can't do for ourselves. And so we've made that pledge that we're going to be leading by example. We're going to be out there competing with landscapers for those very few batteries that are available. And we're going to have to do the same thing. When we talk about working and collaborating, we're going to be right there alongside with you because we have the same problem to solve.
The question is why we were.
So you can't ask questions from the audience. They have to be at the microphone.
Good evening.
Because it has to be recorded. That's fine.
Good evening. My name is Emilio Parentozzi. I am a landscaper. You just said about 12 months, the whole year, making noise of the blowers and this and that. Enforce it. You've been giving out, issuing tickets. The public security has been giving out tickets. Enforce it more. Whoever's been using it during the time of the summertime, enforce it. Raise the prices. Go ahead.
Gladly.
Happily. However,
have to be caught in the act.
We have the only way we can issue infractions is that a member of public security catch the offender in the act.
Okay.
Should the public security offender catch the offender in the act,
right? That
offender says, "Oh, I'm not giving you my name. I'm not giving you my company name."
You don't have to. You have a permit. You have the permit on the truck itself. That's all you have to do.
They do.
Sorry?
They do.
It should. If you don't have it, that's another infraction.
That's another infraction. And so we have work to do on infraction. I mean, on enforcement. I agree. The fines could be more severe because fines can be avoided. It doesn't mean you'd unlike a permit, you have to pay a permit. A fine, you can avoid a fine by not doing the crime, right? So we can do better on the enforcement, 100%.
Absolutely.
But it is continuous. It is continuous. And anecdotally,
yeah,
what we see is and I'm not saying it's you, I'm not saying it's anybody in the room, but there are some crews out there who have spotters. Spotters are up the street.
And if they get caught, they enforce it.
And spotters are up the street. They see the public security truck coming down the street.
Put it to $1,000. I think right now it starts on first infraction is $260, something like that. And then the second infraction is $700. raise them. I have no problem with that. We don't have a problem with that. You know, because the law is the law and we obey by it. And there are guys, like you said, that get around the bush and go on the other way and put a spotter in the middle of the street. Yes, there is. I agree with that. We got about 50 gardeners in Westmount, maybe more. I don't know. Now, if we change into this bylaw with the electric, the material that the gentleman said, we don't even have it in stock. So you're telling me by May of next year, the following, November next fall, you're talking about 50 landscapers. Each landscaper has about 4 blowers to 5 blowers. You're not going to even find it in stock in Montreal on the even the province. You're not going to find it. Where are you going to find them? You did your investigation. You said there's equipment out there. Have you looked how much in stock there is?
I've independently verified that claim, and I say exactly what the supplier said. There's no stock presently. I've also read the same article, but there's a global supply chain problem with the chips, and they're being diverted to the auto industry, and they're not diverted elsewhere. Same problem if you're trying to buy a fridge. I'm trying to buy a fridge, can't get one for 1 year.
Well, that's what
It is a
like
global issue.
It's like buying a car today.
When Councillor Pert says we will lead by example, I don't see how we can lead by example if we can't get the blowers and we can't get the batteries. I just don't see it.
So I think what Councillor Peart is trying to say is that if we can't do it ourselves, we would not expect these gentlemen to be doing the same thing.
I agree with that. I agree with that. But I don't see how. I don't see how if the batteries are not available, Madam Mayor. If the battery is not available for them, it's not available for you.
Let's wait.
I think, my opinion,
I have faith in the market is going to adjust to
but
this.
you're saying that you gave us already extended 45 years from now, and it's 2018.
In that time period, did you buy any electric equipment?
Yes, I have trimmers, things like that. We have, but blowers itself, no. For the prices they're available right now, and for the batteries that do not exist, they're not there. And for the chips and that, I'm going to buy a blower with no battery. Doesn't make sense to me. So I'm not going to invest my money right now.
Councillor Peart is going to answer you, and then we're going to move on from this.
I have one more question. Sorry.
If I could just interject before you ask that last question.
Sure.
Just a very quick one. Do you uniquely serve Westmount, or do you have clients in?
I do Westmount. My business has been since my dad's been here since 1974. So I've been in Westmount since that time.
Exclusively? So you don't serve a couple blocks to the west?
I do Westmount
to the north
only.
or to the south?
Nothing. Okay. I've been in Westmount for all these years. Yeah.
Okay. Would you say that is indicative of all the contractors that supply Westmount?
I don't know. I don't know my fellow colleagues where they work and this and that. I know that some of them work in Westmount. Maybe some others work in the boroughs and this that. I don't know.
Okay. The only reason I ask is the obvious. I mean, if they have to work, if the bylaw is already existing in our adjacent communities, they're serving there, and they would presumably have contractors who are compliant and some who are not.
So if you look at Montreal West, if you know the houses on Redpath Crescent are big lots, they right now can only be serviced with electric blowers. Outremont, like it's all around us. So without adapting to this equipment, you have seriously minimized your ability to work outside of Westmount.
Okay, this is a stupid question.
So we are going to have to move on.
I just have one question. This is a stupid question. Is there a bylaw with fireplaces in Westmount?
No, you can't put in a new fireplace. You cannot.
But there are fireplaces in Westmount that are being used, right?
Yeah, they're grandfathered.
Does that make sense to you?
No,
with
it
the
doesn't.
blowers and that?
It doesn't actually.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your time.
What? It was because they're not being used. Yeah. Next question.
Richard Dufour. Thank you for hearing me out. My questions regard our city's lack of vision and action on various environmental issues, specifically dealing with a disreputable and fraudulent contractor, Ricova, for our waste collection and recycling, sending all of the glass we pick up to landfill, not following the majority of the population on the island of Montreal in banning wood-burning fireplaces, having an outdated urban planning model with no provisions for green practices when it comes to building or renovations, delaying the banning of gas-powered leaf blowers, promoting our own hydropower network with no identifiable energy conservation conservation practices. For example, I called Hydro Westmount today if they offer Hilo, which is a smart technology that Hydro-Quebec offers to reduce consumption. No one had ever heard of this. I spoke to two different people. They had no idea. This is Westmount Hydro. And when I Googled plastic bags today in Westmount to find out if plastic bags were banned in our city, the search engine came up with a list of plastic surgeons. It seems like Google knows what our priorities are in this town. We're one of the wealthiest, most privileged, and well-educated cities in Canada, yet we seem to fall way behind when it comes to environmental leadership. I'm ashamed of this. I would like to know when and how our city can step up and meet its moral obligations and establish clear environmental policy goals with specific objectives and a timeline that will be respected.
So thank you for your question. It is got several aspects to it. I agree with you on a lot of these issues, and I must say it's what I've discovered in being in this role, that any minor change in this city comes with such an adverse reaction. So when you look at things like a slight densification, and you have people go up in arms to block a slight densification because they'd rather have a semi-detached house. Well, those are now families that eventually basically have to build on farmland, right? So it's the resistance to change, and I don't know if it's a COVID thing. I don't think it actually is unbelievable and depressing, right? So when we make some of these, when we do some of these measures, and it's such a fight to just get things done. When we rebuild a street like Lexington, which is designed to make walking safer, to make intersections for kids to get to school safer, to have better water retention, more trees, it's absolute hysteria for months over that. So it is, I share your discouragement for it, but I take responsibility for a lot of the lack of action on it. And I think what we're seeing is, some of the ideas that you have brought forward, the glass recycling, that we are working on getting that container and the graphics done on that. I think are we at the graphic stage? Yeah. So there are a couple initiatives underway, but are they good enough? No. And it's the next thing that we are going to look at is the fireplaces and beyond. And what does that look like? Does that look like a filter? They're not used heavily, for sure. They're not. I mean, people aren't heating their homes with them like they are in, let's say, maybe in off island. But we still have to address it. And we have, smog days in the winter that we need to be dealing with. And we have a couple restaurants that are using them, that are problematic, that we need to deal with. Councillor Aronson, do you want to address any of these? And it's, as every vehicle going forward that we buy, we need to have a very good explanation as to why, if it's not electric, why not? What's out there, like, what's the reasoning why we can't? But so, our sweeper that we're buying is electric, but and it's Rakova is a problematic thing as we I don't, when's the contract up with Rakova? We have another year on that, but that's a troubling situation. So Matt, or Councillor Aronson, do you want to address any of this?
Mr. Duval, I am so glad you're here. Everything you said is absolutely and completely true, and I agree with you wholeheartedly. I was warned when I decided to run for council that I was a tad naive with how quickly changes could be made and how quickly the huge machinery of the city could be turned around. I have come to learn in the last 10 months that perhaps I may have been slightly naive on my timeframes, but I still believe wholeheartedly that this city can and should be a leader in environmental practices. What we are focusing on tonight is the lowest of the low-hanging fruit. And as you can see, we still have considerable opposition. So as the mayor pointed out, making changes is difficult. And at the beginning has to be incremental. But as we continue to push forward, as more and more people see the benefits of running this city, not only in reaction to demands for cleaner, better environmental practices, but as an opportunity to lead in this area across our country. I do believe the momentum will grow, and before long, we will not have a significant opposition or difficulty in deploying new and perhaps strange or difficult ideas. But to do that, we're going to need more citizens like you to stand up and demand it. Because as the tide tilts towards a better, greener environmental future, so too can the administrators and your elected officials move in that direction. But we need your support to do it, and it needs to be loud. So thank you for coming down here tonight, and I encourage you to keep doing that.
All right, I think we are getting towards the end of the time limit for question period.
I'll be very short. I'm still John Breslow, 447 Grosvenor.
Presumably, yes.
I hate leaf blowers with passion, but I'm an economist. And I hate even more seeing families who are doing a job that you want them to carry on doing, being forced not to do it for reasons that are beyond their control. That, Madam Mayor, is indecent. In this context, the contractors have shown willingness to go as far as possible within the constraints that are possible. I humbly suggest that the draft bylaw that you are going to put forth include a modification that says if 6 months before the expiry date, the equipment is not available as determined by by councillors, then we put in place a situation where the moratorium can be extended for 1 year. It is only decent.
There is always an opportunity to amend any bylaw twice a month.
Show it explicitly, ma'am.
Yes, you may. And this is the last question, and then we're moving on to the rest of the council because there's a second question period if you want to stay and ask questions after.
All right, thank you. Just to expand on the debate that's going on about leaf blowers, a couple of things. I do hope that I'm glad that somebody brought up the idea that, or the possibility that people are going to kind of circumvent this possible bylaw and get gas powered generators. I hope that kind of dinged in your minds and say you're going to make sure that the bylaw is against that. Secondly, I can understand the frustration of the landscapers. I myself was a general contractor. I understand the pressures that bylaws will put on us. However, I think that the energy that a lot of these people are putting in here would be better served in pushing their suppliers. I think that we live in a free market society, and I think that if the pressure is there on the suppliers, they have a lot of clout. They're the ones who are buying, they're the ones who are paying. Put their energy there rather than putting their energy on city council, which is
Sorry, you can't interrupt while someone else is asking a question. Thank you for your point. We are now going to move to the adoption of the agenda.
Okay.
Oh, there's an online question. Sorry, apologies. There was a question submitted online.
We have two questions online. First from Madame Marilyn Gillis. How many bike parking stands were added this year? How many more will be added this year? How many have you budgeted for in 2023? What is included in the next year budget for cycling, new paths, and repair of existing paths?
Thank you, Mrs. Gillis, for your question. I don't have all of the answers specifically that you've asked, which is how many racks this year, what number of racks. Some were added. I don't have the exact number, so I don't want to give you the wrong number, and I can find out what is planned for the following year. So I have her contact information. We will make sure that we follow up with that information from Public Works.
And we are actually doing, through our traffic advisory committee, working on the Dismissal bike path and making it safer, looking at paint, specific paint that would highlight the area. And so there's been a lot of discussion about that so that we're ready for spring of 2023.
Thank you. And il n'y a pas d'autres questions?
Oui, il y a une autre question de M. Robert Babzac. Good evening, Madam Mayor. Is the city no longer posting the list of the, I think it means PAC approvals and rejections prior to the council meeting for public viewing? I do not see in the documents posted for today's meeting.
He doesn't see today's documentation from today's minute. I'm sorry, I'm not.
I think he's talking about the PAC.
The PAC minutes are in there. Do you? They'll be tabled. They'll be tabled tonight, as later on in the agenda.
No more questions.
No more questions. Okay, so now we will move to the adoption of the agenda. Councillor Shammy with some additions.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I move that the agenda of the regular council sitting of October 3rd, 2022 be adopted with the addition of the following items under new business. Item 26.1, appointment in the engineering department of the assistant director, and item 26.2, dismissal.
Thank you, Councillor Shammy. A seconder on this will be Councillor Peart. All in favor? Carried. Numéro 5, encore, Monsieur Shammy, approbation des procès-verbaux.
Merci, Madame la Mairesse. I move that the minutes of the regular council sitting held 19 September 2022, as well as of the special sittings held on September 19th and October 3rd, 2022 be now approved.
Merci. Councillor Bostock will second that. All in favor? Carried. Item number 6, rapport au Conseil, reports to council. Item 6.1, list of bylaws adopted by the Agglomeration Council on September 22nd, 2022. Item 6.2, Councillor Shammy.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I move that the minutes of the General Committee meeting of council held September 6th, 2022 are tabled and available on the city's website.
Merci beaucoup. 6.3, procès-verbaux de la Commission des finances et de l'administration. Councillor D'Amico.
Le procès-verbaux des rencontres de la Commission des finances et de l'administration tenues les 15 mai et 14 juillet 2022 sont déposés.
Merci beaucoup. 6.4, rapport de la main-d'œuvre, Conseil Shammy.
Merci, Madame la Mairesse. Le rapport de main-d'œuvre pour le mois d'août 2022 est maintenant déposé.
Merci. 6.5, registre des paiements, encore Conseiller D'Amico.
La liste des paiements pour le mois d'août 2022 est déposée.
Thank you. 6.6, list of approvals in virtue of bylaw 1507, Councillor Shammy.
Merci, Madame la Mairesse. Conformément au règlement 1507 sur la délégation de pouvoir à certains employés de la ville de Westmount, la liste d'autorisation de dépenses pour le mois d'août 2022 est maintenant déposée.
Merci beaucoup. 6.7, list of duties on transfer invoices, Councillor D'Amico.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Sorry, thank you, Madam Mayor. The list of duties on transfers for the month of September 2022 is tabled.
Thank you. Item number 7, numéro 7, orientation du Conseil sur les sujets devant être présentés au Conseil d'agglomération de Montréal. Conseiller Shammy.
Madam Mayor, I move that the mayor, or in her absence, the acting mayor, be authorized to make any decisions she deems necessary and in the best interest of the city of Westmount and its residents regarding the items on the agenda of the Montreal Urban Agglomeration Council meeting to be held the 27th of October, 2022.
Thank you very much. A seconder on this will be Councillor Peart. All in favor? Item number 8, application for property tax exemption, the YMCA's of Quebec Westmount. Councillor D'Amico.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Whereas the Act respecting municipal taxation provides for the periodic review of recognition giving rise to property tax exemption. I'll start over. Whereas the Act respecting municipal taxation provides for the periodic review of a recognition giving rise to a property tax exemption granted by the Commission municipale du Québec, hereinafter the Commission, every 9 years. Whereas the YMCA's of Quebec Westmount obtained such recognition on June 25, 2013, with respect to the land and building constituting the immovable located at 4585 Sherbrooke Street West in Westmount. Whereas the YMCA's of Quebec Westmount has again submitted to the Commission an application for recognition giving rise to a property tax exemption for the land and building constituting the immovable located at 4585 Sherbrooke Street West in Westmount. Whereas council believes that it is appropriate to confirm the recognition giving rise to a property tax exemption for this organization insofar as, after analysis and investigation, the Commission comes to the conclusion that the YMCA's of Quebec Westmount still meets the conditions required to confirm such a tax exemption. I move that the municipal council indicates that it is in favor of the YMCA's of Quebec Westmount's application for a property tax exemption insofar as the Commission municipale du Québec concludes that the said organization still meets the conditions required to confirm such a tax exemption.
Thank you. A seconder on this will be Councillor Bostock. Do you want to add any further comments on this? That's our pledge of support.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. All in favor? Carried. Item number 9, group purchase with the Ville de Montréal road salt for the winter season of 2022-2023. Councillor Bostock.
I move to authorize an expenditure in the amount of $860,729.52, including tax credits for the 2022 fiscal year for the supply of road salt for the 2022-2023 winter season. That as part of the Ville de Montréal group purchase contract tender number 22-19388, the tender of Compass Minerals Canada Corp. Be accepted for the total amount of $942,611.04, including taxes, to allocate this expenditure in accordance with the financial information included in the decision-making file number 2022-1700.
Thank you. A seconder on this will be Councillor Shammy. Any further comments?
It's a lot of salt.
It's a lot of salt. Joys of being on a hill.
All in favor? Carried. Item number 10, Councillor Shammy, professional services for the Douglas First Brooke Ellis Memorial Garden.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I move to authorize an expenditure in the amount of $64,157.86, including tax credits for the professional services for Douglas First Brooke Ellis Memorial Garden, and to award to Les Jardins, Hodgins and Day Inc. the contract for this purpose at its bid price for a maximum amount of $70,261.22, including taxes. And finally, to allocate this expenditure in accordance with the financial information included in the decision-making file 2022-1682.
Thank you very much. A seconder on this will be Councillor Bostock. I can comment on this if you would like. This is a very important step forward in the file that was brought forward by Matthew Bissonnette and the class action suit of victims of sexual abuse. This is an important step in recognition with the family that we are dedicating a park, or it's not a park, it's a memorial garden that will be very close to the WRC, and it will be named in honor of Doug Ellis. And his mother has been very, very involved in this process, in the design, as well as other victims. And this will be a memorial garden to Doug, who has sadly passed away, but it will also be a daily reminder for everyone that this cannot and should never, ever happen again, certainly anywhere and certainly not in our city. So I'm very pleased that this has been a long, long process to get this memorial garden going, but I'm very pleased that we are moving on this tonight. And I want to thank the members of the class action that have been very involved in this, in particular Matthew Bissonnette, and as well as Doug Ellis's mom and Justice Alex Pless, who has really helped shepherd it along. So I salute them for finding a beautiful way to honor Doug's life, and his mother is thrilled that she's going to be able to see the opening of it eventually. So it's this is a very, very difficult this is a very difficult file, but one that I'm happy to see that we're taking this step. So all in favor? Carried. Item number 11, again, Councillor Shammy, request for proposals, planting and replacement of poles on the Hydro Westmount network.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I move to authorize an expenditure in the amount of $82,331 even, including tax credits, for the planting and replacement of poles on the Hydro Westmount network. Request for proposal number DDP 2022-047, and to award to Lanoco Limité the contract for this purpose in accordance with this proposal for a maximum amount of $94,666.07, including taxes, the whole in conformity with the contractual documents of the request for proposals DDP 2022-047, and finally to allocate this expenditure in accordance with the financial information included in the decision-making file number 2022-1686.
Merci beaucoup. Councillor D'Amico would like to second that. Any further comments?
Straightforward. We need polls.
All in favor? Item number 12, Councillor Bostock, call for tenders by invitation, installation and maintenance of a sledding area at King George Park in Westmount for the 2022-2023 winter season.
I move to authorize an expenditure in the amount of $46,614.45, including tax credits for the 2022 fiscal year for the installation and maintenance of a sledding area at King George Park in Westmount for the 2022-2023 winter season, tender by invitation number INV 2022-023, to award to Snow Innovation, Inc., the contract for this purpose at its bid price for a maximum amount of $123,500 plus taxes, the whole in conformity with the contractual documents of the call for tenders by invitation INV 2022-023, and to allocate this expenditure in accordance with the financial information included in the decision-making file number 2022-1691.
Thank you. A seconder on this will be Councillor Aronson. Any further comments? This motion and the one following are clear indications that climate change is real and is affecting our city and how we operate. The next motion is about a refrigerated ice rink because you can no longer skate all winter like you used to be able to. So we have a refrigerated ice rink in Westmount Park that's also coming up, and having to make snow. The what? Having to make snow and ice, and then a lot of salt to take this ice off the road. So that's what this motion is about. All in favor? Carried, and it is a huge hit and the children love it. So again, Councillor Bostock, item number 13, call for tenders by invitation, management of the refrigerated skating rink in Westmount Park.
I move to authorize an expenditure in the amount of $39,358.70, including tax credits for the 2022 fiscal year for the management of the refrigerated skating rink in Westmount Park, tender number invitation number INV 2022-024, to award to Glass Canada Inc. the contract for this purpose at its bid price for a maximum amount of $85,689 plus taxes, the whole in conformity with the contractual document of the call for tenders by invitation INV 2022-024, and to allocate this expenditure in accordance with the financial information included in the decision-making file number 2022-1692.
Thank you. A seconder on this will be Councillor Peart. Any further comments?
It's a highly used skating rink in the middle of Westmount Park. It's wonderful.
Okay, thank you. All in favor? Item number 14, numéro 14, appel d'offres sur invitation, acquisition d'un tracteur utilitaire compact. Encore Councillor Bostock.
I move to authorize an expenditure in the amount of $74,535.88, including tax credits for the purchase of a compact utility tractor, tender number invitation INV 2022-027, to award to Centre Agricole JLD Inc. the contract for this purpose at its bid price for a maximum amount of $81,626.50, including taxes, the whole in conformity with the contractual documents of the calls for tender by invitation INV 2022-027, and to allocate this expenditure in accordance with the financial information included in the decision-making file number 2022-1687.
Thank you. A seconder on this, Councillor D'Amico. Any further comments?
No.
Would you, Councillor Aronson, I think would like to vote against?
Just a quick question.
This
Are these
one's
things
not.
electric?
This one is
No.
Okay, then.
Okay, all in favor? Carrie, against? Councillor Aronson, opposed? The motion is moved. Again, Councillor Bostock, call for public tenders, rental of loader tractors with operators.
I move to authorize an expenditure in the amount of $167,979.98, including tax credits for the 2022 fiscal year for the rental of loader tractors with operators, tender number PUB 2022-041, to award to Les Entreprises de Construction Ventec Inc. the contract for this purpose at its bid price for a maximum amount of $503,940, including taxes, the whole in conformity with contractual documents for the call for tenders PUB number 2022-041, to allocate this expenditure in accordance with the financial information included in the decision-making file number 2022-1693.
Thank you, Councillor Bostock. Councillor D'Amico is seconding that. Do you have any further comments on this one?
No.
I don't think an electric version of this was available.
It's not available yet.
It's not available on this one.
Second verse, same as the first.
Okay, so all those in favor? Opposed? Okay, thank you. Item 16, again, Councillor Bostock, another truck, call for public tenders, purchase of a 4,000 gallon tank truck, which is 4,000 gallons of water, not gas. But anyways, for water. Okay.
I move to authorize an expenditure in the amount of $257,250.87, including tax credits for the purchase of a 4,000 gallon tank truck, tender number PUB 2022-044, to award to Camion A&R Dubois Inc. the contract for this purpose at its bid price for a maximum amount of $281,723.24, including taxes, the whole in conformity with the contractual documents of the call for tenders PUB 2022-044, and to allocate this expenditure in accordance with the financial information included in the decision-making file number 2022-1683.
Thank you. A seconder on this, Councillor D'Amico again. Any further comments on this one?
No.
All in favor? Opposed? Councillor Aronson. Call for public tenders, professional services for the soil environmental characterization on various streets in the city of Westmount. Again, Councillor Bostock.
I move to authorize an expenditure in the amount of $158,352.65, including tax credits for the professional services for the soil environmental characterization on various streets, tender number PUB 2022-048, to award to 9152-4629 Quebec Inc. Génie Novation, the contract for this purpose at its bid price for a maximum amount of $173,416.79, including taxes, the whole in conformity with the contractual documents for the call for tenders PUB 2022-048, and to allocate this expenditure in accordance with the financial information included in the decision-making file number 2022-1689.
Thank you. A seconder on this, again, Councillor D'Amico. Any further comments on this? These are snow loading trucks.
Yes.
Do you have any further explanations on this? Again, these ones are not available in electric. So all in favor?
This is professional services.
Or for professional services.
So this professional services. So we're
I've gone
testing
back
soil. We're testing soil.
I've gone back one.
We're testing the soil.
Testing. So all in favor? Seconded by Councillor D'Amico. Sorry, I've jumped ahead to item number 18. Call for public tenders, rental of 12-wheel trucks with operator for snow loading. Again, Councillor Bostock.
I move to authorize an expenditure in the amount of $192,499.48, including tax credits for the rental of 12-wheel trucks with operator for snow loading 2022-2023 season, tender number PUB 2022-051, to award to Les Entreprises PEP 2000 Inc. the contract for this purpose at its bid price for a maximum amount of $210,812.03, including taxes, the whole in conformity with the contractual documents for the call for tenders PUB 2022-051, and to allocate this expenditure in accordance with the financial information included in the decision-making file number 2022-1690.
Thank you. A seconder again, Councillor D'Amico. Any further comments on this?
These are not available in electric yet. But they will be, but we're part of a larger fleet, and they're hard to come by right now.
Okay. All in favor? Carried, opposed? You've just lost your microphone thing. The motion is carried. Item number 19, Councillor Aronson, call for public tenders purchase of an electric street sweeper.
All right, here we go. Now, this is one we can do. All right, so I move to authorize the expenditure in the amount of $137,546.22, including tax credits, for the purchase of an electric street sweeper, tender number PUB 2022-052. And further, I move to award to ExproLink Inc. the contract for the purpose of its bid price for a maximum amount of $150,631.05, including taxes, the whole in conformity with the contractual documents for the call to for tenders PUB 2022-052. And finally, to allocate this expenditure in accordance with the financial information included in decision-making file number 2022-1684.
Thank you. A seconder on this will be Councillor Shammy. Any further comments on this?
I'm glad to see that we are getting some of our heavier equipment now available in EV format, and I look forward to the day when I can vote for every single one of the expenditures that this council makes, because they will all fall in line with reducing our fossil fuel, our carbon footprint.
And this, you will have seen this company has had a fair bit of press lately. There was some articles in La Presse, I want to say last week, 2 weeks ago, talking about this this company. So anyways, all in favor?
Aye.
Carried. Item number 20, again, Councillor Aronson, notice of motion bylaw 1592 to further amend bylaw 1387 concerning noise leaf blowers.
I'm sorry, Madam Mayor, it's taking me a second to catch up here on the computer. There we go. Item 20. So I'm giving notice of the intention to submit for the adoption at a subsequent meeting of council bylaw number 1592, entitled a bylaw to further amend bylaw 1387 concerning noise leaf blowers. So I am now tabling and present the draft of said bylaw, which I believe will be available for public consumption or review online within a few days.
Yeah, yes. Yeah, and the object.
And the object of this bylaw is to repeal sections 28 to 31 of the bylaw concerning noise, as these sections have been incorporated into a bylaw on nuisances and good order. A copy of the draft bylaw is tabled and available for public consultation.
Thank you. So that is giving notice of motion. So there is not a vote on that.
Mm-hmm.
A vote comes at a later date. Item 21, again, is Councillor Aronson tabling and presentation bylaw 1591 to further amend bylaw 1475 on nuisances and good order leaf blowers. Councillor Aronson.
So during the council sitting held on September the 6th, 2022, Councillor Bostock gave notice of intention to submit for adoption at a subsequent meeting of council bylaw number 1591 entitled bylaw to further amend bylaw 1475 on nuisances and good orders leaf blowers. So I'm to table and present the draft of said bylaw. The object of this bylaw is to prohibit the use of gas-powered leaf blowers on the territory of the city of Westmount. A copy of the draft bylaw is tabled and available for public consumption.
Thank you very much. Again, that doesn't get voted upon until a later date, and when that this is just the notice of motion. Item 22, adoption of a second project, bylaw 1589, to further amend zoning bylaw 1303, number of principal buildings in the case of municipal buildings. Monsieur le greffier.
Alors, je signale, Madame la mairesse, que toutes les formalités requises pour la dispense de lecture de ce règlement ont été respectées et que des copies du règlement ont été notamment remises à tous les membres du Conseil. L'objet de ce règlement est d'introduire une exception à la section 5.1 du règlement concernant le zonage afin que soit autorisé plus d'un bâtiment principal par lot dans le cas des bâtiments municipaux. Donc, le règlement sera disponible pour consultation.
Merci. Est-ce que je peux avoir la déclaration de la part de chaque membre du Conseil présent à la fin qu'il ou elle a lu le règlement et que la lecture en est dispensée?
So declared.
Councillor Peart, Conseiller Peart.
Thank you, Madame la Mairesse. I move that the second draft of bylaw number 1589 entitled Bylaw to Further Amend Zoning Bylaw 1303, number of principal buildings in the case of municipal buildings be adopted.
Thank you very much. A seconder on this will be Councillor Shammy. Any further comments? This was
Quite straightforward, this one.
straightforward in terms of regularizing the situation. All in favor? Carried. Item number 23, again, Councillor Peart, is dépôt des procès-verbaux du comité consultatif d'urbanisme.
Merci, la mairesse. Je propose que le conseil prenne acte et accepte le dépôt des procès-verbaux et des assemblées du comité consultatif d'urbanisme suivantes. Assemblée régulière tenue le 13 septembre 2022. Assemblée spéciale portant sur les demandes de plans d'implantation et d'intégration architecturale PIA, tenue le 15 septembre 2022.
Merci beaucoup. A seconder on that will be, it's typically Councillor Gallery, but she's not here tonight, so Councillor Bostock. Any further comments on that? Anything?
This is the typical submittal of our PAC meeting minutes.
Perfect. All in favor? Carried. Item number 24, approval of site planning and architectural integration programs. Again, Councillor Peart.
Merci, Madame la Mairesse. I move that the Municipal Council act on the opinions of the Planning Advisory Committee, the PAC, as set out in the minutes of the regular meeting held on September 13th, 2022, and of the special meeting held on September 15th of 2022, to review site planning and architectural integration program, SPAIP, applications and adopt for each of them the site planning and architectural integration program's conditions for the issuance of a permit as issued in the following items: CCU 22-09-13.02, CCU 22-09-13.04, CCU 22-09-13.05, CCU 22-09-13.072, CCU 22-09-13.10, CCU 22-09-13.14, CCU 22-09-13.16, CCU 22-09-13.17, and CCU 22-09-13.32 to CCU 22-09-13.34 of the agenda of the regular PAC meeting held on September 13th of 2022. And CCUS 22-09-15.04, CCUS 22-09-15.06, and CCUS 22-09-15.07 of the agenda of the special PAC meeting held on September 15th of 2022.
Thank you very much. A seconder on this will be Councillor D'Amico. Any projects of note in there?
Mostly doors and windows, but exceptionally, we do have a large project up at 100 Summit Circle. It's an existing building, a large project that's kind of been completely reimagined, and it's in a new same shape but a different finish. And I dare say it portends to be quite a nice project. I look forward to its completion. It's one of those rare cases where we are indeed building tomorrow's category 1.
Okay, that is good to know. I've seen it. I don't know if I guess the public hasn't seen it yet. So all in favor? Carried. And now we have a denial of a site planning and architectural integration program. So that is Councillor Peart as well.
Thank you, Madame la Mairesse. For this one, I will read the whereases. Whereas the minutes of the regular meeting of the Planning Advisory Committee, PAC, held on September 13th of 2022 were tabled at this sitting, whereas the main role of the PAC is to analyze and give an opinion on any request that must be submitted to it in accordance with the Land Use Planning and Development Act, CQLR, Chapter A 19-19.1. Example, SPAIP, minor exemptions, SCOPE, conditional uses, etc., and on any other application in matters of land use planning and development that is submitted to it by council. Whereas an application has been submitted by the applicant under bylaw 1305 on site planning and architectural integration programs, and said application does not meet the objectives and criteria. Whereas the PAC has issued an unfavorable opinion regarding this application, as stated in the minutes of the regular meeting held on September 13th of 2022. Whereas according to bylaw 1305 on site planning and architectural integration programs, council must decide on the opinions of the committee by way of resolution. I move that the municipal council act on the unfavorable opinion of the Planning Advisory Committee, PAC, as set out in the minutes of the meeting held on September 13th of 2022 in item CCU 22-09-13.01 of the agenda of said meeting.
Thank you. A seconder on this will be Councillor Bostock. Do you want to add any details to that?
I probably do not.
No. Okay. All in favor? Carried. Thank you, Councillor Peart. Now we move to new business. So we are starting with Councillor Shammy with the Appointment Engineering Department Assistant Director.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Excuse me. I move that Mr. Sean Aloysius be appointed to the position of Assistant Director of the Engineering Department on a permanent basis, grade 5, effective October 12th, 2022, in accordance with the salary and recommendation of the Director of Human Resources Department as stipulated in the decision-making file number 2022-1705 and according to the terms provided for in the working conditions and remuneration of management personnel.
Thank you very much, Mr. And a seconder on this will be Councillor D'Amico or Councillor Peart. Councillor D'Amico got his hand up first. Everybody, it's no surprise that everybody is trying to second this motion. He's not with us here tonight, but many citizens will know and recognize Sean Aloysius from being out on all of our major infrastructure projects and our sites. And he is, I'm thrilled about this appointment. It's incredibly well-deserved. He has got a vision for long-term planning as well with the city. And that is an incredible asset to the team. So congratulations to Sean, who might be watching at home. Congratulations to you. And it's a very well-deserved, a very, very well-deserved promotion. So all in favor? Carried. The next item is a dismissal of the Director General. So I will hand this over to Mr. Shammy.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Whereas at its regular sitting held on July 19th, 2021, the Municipal Council appointed Mr. Hadi Hakim as Director General effective August 9th, 2021, resolution number 2021-07-177. Whereas Mr. Hakim has failed to comply with the Code of Ethics and Good Conduct for Employees of the City of Westmount and the city's policy on preventing psychological harassment and promoting civility in the workplace. Whereas Mr. Hakim was suspended with pay on July 12, 2022 for the purpose of an investigation. And whereas results of this investigation conducted by Equalis, an independent external firm, demonstrate without question the seriousness of the fault committed by Mr. Hakim. Madam Mayor, I move that the City of Westmount dismiss Mr. Hadi Hakim on the basis of a serious fault, retroactively to July 12, 2022, the date on which he was suspended with pay for the purpose of an investigation.
Thank you very much. A seconder on this will be Councillor Peart. I think that that motion is complete and thorough, and this process has been lengthy but incredibly thorough. So all on that note, I will call for a vote on this. Carried unanimously. And that is the end of the items on our agenda. for tonight. So now we move to the second question period where we will take questions from those in the room and as well as online. Are there any further questions in the room?
Yes, hi, thank you. Two unrelated questions. The first question was something that was passed that I didn't quite catch, and that was regarding the zoning change regarding single-family homes and semi-detached. Could you explain that to me?
No, I made a commentary. You mean before when I was talking about? Oh, that was just that was an application for a project that was met with a lot of resistance, which would have been a light densification as opposed to a semi-detached. But that was a while ago. But I think we were talking more about resistance to change is at that point. With the zoning change that we did pass tonight was where you can have more than one building on. I mean, it's just sort of regularizing what's actually in existence. Is that our municipal lots technically, if we hadn't adjusted the zone, it shouldn't have more than one principal building, more than one building on it.
And now?
Well, now the public works yard has many buildings, so it's just regularizing what's actually there.
It's just that one particular lot. Okay.
No, it's municipal land, right? So it's Public Works has several buildings. Hydro has several. It has the main building of Hydro and it has the incinerator on it, but it's just sort of regularizing. It's part of our cleanup of some of our bylaws that are not.
Okay, understood. Thank you.
Yeah.
And the second question, and this is just to further the discussion that we were having before, and I understand the frustration that you all probably have with certain measures you like to take, but and a lot of resistance from the community. But I also like to think that as leaders,
that's our role, is to push it through.
That sometimes you just have to piss people off and move forward,
and then
move forward and not necessarily go with what is the popular thing to do. And very often the vocal opposition you'll get to certain initiatives is not necessarily shared by the majority of the people. It's maybe voiced by the most vocal. And if you were to take a poll or a referendum or whatever, you'd probably find that the measures that you would take regarding environmental initiatives would probably be supported by the majority of the people here. And I say here, I'm talking about in the city. So I hope that you will listen to opposition, of course, but also move forward with leadership.
It's you're right, and you have to make these decisions, and then the people get to decide in 3 years at the polls if that's not the direction that they want to go in, and they want to reverse this. Then any of these decisions, then they can elect leaders who would take a different stance, and that's democracy. I think when you have when you are a municipality and a small municipality, right? I mean, we can't forget we have we have a big name, but we're not that actually that large. Less than 21,000 people. That you do have to listen and try and what we've tried to do is find consensus and build the best path forward on a lot of things. But this one is an important initiative, and we're followers at this point, and we used to be leaders on these types of things.
Thank you.
Thanks, and thank you for your input.
That is false, because I rang 300 doorbells of my clients, 300. And I told them what's going on.
And you told them that their bills
about any of this.
And their bills were going to be quadrupled.
Yeah.
And
I'm not joking around. There are going to be quadrupled.
You should also let them know when you quadruple the bill that part of that is because you cannot work outside of Westmount in the neighboring boroughs.
Right. Hampstead we're allowed. Coach and Luke we're allowed.
It's coming. You can't work in Montreal West.
As soon as Westmount falls, I'm sure it's going to come.
Okay. I think you've made your point tonight, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
For the dump itself, for the city dump, when is it going to be open regular hours?
The city dump is Michelle or Monsieur Leroux. Can we?
I think it closes at 2:30 in the afternoon, and we should have it open till 4 o'clock. Then on a Fridays at 12 o'clock, I believe, be closed. But right now,
we can certainly verify that. We have. I know we had adjusted some of the hours, in particular in the morning, because
because there's a lot of stuff starting to pick up. And that's
and the residents nearby were very, very angry and had asked the city of Montreal to.
Are you planning going down to the old dump again, or are you going to keep it there still?
I think the plan now is to keep it at the Belvedere, to keep the Belvedere dump open, but we have to be respectful of the neighbors in Montreal who were complaining quite a lot on Trafalgar.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. And by the dump, I mean, it's not a garbage dump. It's where, I think we should clarify for anyone watching online. It's where the leaves are placed and then the compost comes out of there. We are not operating a undercover dump in the city of Westmount.
Is there a regulation for these Sanivacs, the portable toilets that are placed on properties where
the construction is happening? Yeah, that's all part of that is managed. Why do you have a Sanivac complaint?
Well, I just won't want to make a complaint on record, but I'm just wondering whether they could be anywhere on the street or people's properties on the street, or do they have to be back from the sidewalk?
Monsieur Leroux, do you know the answer to that about what the actual, the what?
I will verify.
We can verify.
I don't think we have a bylaw for that, but it needs to be on the site where they.
It needs to be close to the site, but
Exactly,
but we can verify.
Yeah.
I have your email address. I can send it to you. I do. I do. All those block parties on Victoria, you're on my mailing list.
Our mayor is very participatory here. She comes to our block parties. Victoria between Fuller and Westmount Avenue.
It's a good block party.
Very grateful. Terrific block.
Any further questions before we call this meeting, before we adjourn this meeting? No? Good night, everybody.
Madame la mairesse,
Oui.
on a une précision de Monsieur Robert Babzac.
Oui.
Just to clarify, you have typically posted the list of the site planning and integration projects prior to council meetings. Nothing was posted today. I was not referring to the PAC minutes. Again, are you no longer posting the SPAIP list with the agenda and other documentation prior to the council meeting?
Monsieur Leroux, do you have est-ce que je peux demander à Monsieur Leroux de répondre?
This is about the motion for the PIA.
I think so. I think he's asking for the.
It's public after that council adopt
Okay.
those minutes. So it's going to be public in the next few days, like
Yeah.
presentation that was given by
Wait.
Medcala.
Okay. C'est bon. Merci. Thank you, everyone. Good night. The meeting is adjourned.